So I'm here today with Jim Stewart from Bark River Knives, and I'm actually at Bark River Knives. This is their super duper factory.
Thank you, sir.
And I went looking for a video on how to make sharp grind lines, and I couldn't find one. So I thought, what better person to ask than my friend Jim Stewart, and he's going to give us a demo and some of the key points on how to make sharp grind lines on your knife. And what's the first thing you start with?
Well, again, thank you, Kyle, for stopping by. The first thing that we start with is we take a Sharpie and we map out exactly where our grind is going to be. As you see, I've already done it on this blank. I cut out a very quick knife for this demonstration, and as you can see, I have a very rudimentary grind, and that's what we're going to follow today. So the first thing you do is you follow a plunge line, and then you have a bezel mapped out all ready to go. Okay. So step number 2. We grind the plunge line, and then that sets our edge for grinding on the slack and for grinding against the wheel. Okay. After that, we start grinding just the edge by itself, and we start removing the metal in the middle of the blade to try to meet the point here with the point down at the edge in a continuous line. Okay. Well, let's get started. Just to show people at home, this is a Birkin grinder. And he's got an 80 grit ceramic aluminum belt on here. Yes, sir. And that's where you start. Okay. Okay. Let's do it. There's our plunge line.
So here's where we're at. He started on the very edge that you saw, and he ground it up about halfway up the spine, or up the blade. And if you saw some of the footage I took of him kind of comparing, basically what he did was he tried to get so that one side basically matched the other, and he kept going like this to make sure that he was taking about even amounts off of the knife while he was working on it, so that, you know, one side didn't get too far ahead of the other.
That's right. Every step that we do is sets us up for success on the next step. Okay. So it's a building as a ladder, if you will.
Now, so now that the grind is about halfway up, now what do we do?
From here, you saw me grinding on the contact wheel, and then from here we're going to go onto the slack, smooth out all of the facets that were left in by the contact wheel, and we're going to start convexing our edge and pulling our line back up to the original intended grind line. Right.
So basically, we're just pushing this line further and further up the blade.
Evenly on both sides. Yes, sir.
As best as possible.
As best as possible, by hand, by eye.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get started.
Okay.
So you're switching belts, and this is a 120 now.
Yes, sir. We call it a cut belt.
Okay.
Because it cleans up the previous step, and it also does a very fine job of leaving and moving lines.
Yep. And this is a ceramic belt again, ceramic, alumina.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So now he's got half the blade done, real sharp, nice, perfect grind line there. He still has to do the other half to match. But there was a couple things you were doing I just wanted to draw attention to. One is that when you're grinding it, your hand is on there steadying. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I'm assuming you're doing is you're getting feedback on how hot the blade is getting.
Yes, at this point, because the edge is getting a little bit thinner, you really start to have to dip the entire blade more, otherwise you could compromise the heat treat.
Right, and so your blank is pre-heat treated.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so that's why if you watch every once in a while, he's got his hand on there that steadies it, and then also if it starts heating up, then he knows it, and then he dunks it in the tank, and then that takes the so that you don't ruin the heat treat on the blade.
Yes, sir.
So basically. All we have to do is the other side. Now, one thing I did notice is that you were putting your blade more, here and at different spots instead of like right here or right here.
Right.
How do you feel and choose that spot?
Well, just from experience, I can tell you that in between the end of the contact wheel and the middle of the belt, for me, gives me the most tactile information, feedback, if you will. From there, I can acutely feel how steep my angle is, how much area my blade's hitting, and all of that is just stuff that comes with experience.
Right.
Blade grinding by hand is an art form.
Right. And the other thing you did during that sequence is you turned the speed of the belt down a bit.
Yes.
So that it wasn't removing as much metal, I'm assuming.
Right. I wanted to take my time with it and make sure that I had a nice even grind and a nice sharp line. If the machine was moving too fast, and I happened to hiccup or cough or any of that, it could have really messed up my grind line, and then it would have had to be a full high grind.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll let you finish the other side, and we'll move on to the next step.
Excellent, sir.
All right, so that's it. He's established some really, sharp, nice grind lines. Left the edge a little thick, and that's because now you have to polish out the tool marks.
Right.
And basically, there's a whole nother bunch of steps to get this into a finished product that we won't show. But basically, the point was to just show how to get those grind lines. Mm-hmm. Your next step then from here would be, if you were going to finish this, what would you do next?
Well, my next step would be to continue the progression of grinding from a 120 grit here to a 240 or 320, just to finish that out a little bit more. And then I would start prepping the blade for handle work.
Okay.
And then from there, I would choose my handle material, put my handle on, finish my handle out. And with a finished handle, I would finish grinding the blade.
Yeah. Meaning finish sharpening. And
right. Right now, it's got a flat 20 thousandths edge.
Yep.
And it's absolutely ripe for finishing.
To finish.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for showing us that today.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's it.